Hey people, how's it going? Welcome to the Funhouse, and we are back again with another movie reaction commentary. Today we're going to be watching High Noon. Yep, believe it or not, I have not seen this film. Now this is Eureka's Masters of Cinema version, so there's plenty of extra features for me to dive into and learn more about the film after the reaction. I know very little about the film, but what I do know matters. So I know that the film stars Gary Cooper, whose name I know from a Die Hard reference.
Well, this time John Wayne does not walk off into the sunset with Grace Kelly.
It's Gary Cooper, that's all.
I also believe that this is one of the first films to exploit the real-time motif in a Hollywood cinematic story. I also know that the ticking clock motif evokes a sense of tension, which culminates in a gunfight at the end. And that's it, that's all I know. You know, when I was growing up, this was on every greatest film of all time list on film-related TV shows. So I'm excited to be finally watching it. Are you ready? And action!
Forsake me, oh my darling.
Bad hombre here. Is that Lee Van Cleef? I think that was Lee Van Bad Boy Cleef. There he is, Gary Cooper. I think it is. That's a very young Lee Van Cleef. Yep, there he is. Lee Van Cleef. Okay, so I think they've just established the three bad guys. Okay, so straight away we know that they're bad guys. People's reaction and the music, obviously. But also people seem to recognize them, so...
You in a hurry? Yeah, I sure am. You're a fool. Come on.
Wow, he came outside the marshal's office and created a ruckus.
Noon train on time?
Yes, sir. Don't no reason why it shouldn't be. Mr. Pierce? Mr. Colby?
Ah, so he's terrified of him. So Mister, he called him.
You will, Kane, take Amy to be your lawful wedded wife?
Okay, so this is great conflict because this is a special day in his life, and here comes the bad guys. Wow. So you can see he's kind of a reserved, withdrawn personality. Doesn't seem like he likes too much attention.
Amy, it seems to me like people ought to be alone when they get married.
I know.
I'll do my best.
I will too.
See, that's better, my guy.
Come on, everybody. And don't look so shy.
Ah, this guy in the middle on the left, he was in It's a Wonderful Life. He was the uncle. He was George's uncle.
Well, with the fine job you've done here, I feel free to say, and the judge will bear me out, this town will be safe till tomorrow.
You win.
He's giving it up. He's retiring.
Marshal, telegram for you.
They pardoned Frank Miller.
What is it,
I don't
Will?
believe it.
A week ago, too.
Ben Miller is down for depot now with Jim Pierce and Jack Colby. They asked about the noon train.
The noon train?
So the brother's about to come in on that train, I think.
This town this very minute.
Come on,
What
let's
is
get
it?
him going.
Oh, never mind that now. We've got...
Because two names were Miller there, so that's what I heard. So I'm assuming there's some kind of relation.
I think I ought to stay.
Are you crazy? Think of Amy.
Come on, boy! Hurry!
Wow, that's a nice shot.
Huh. That's funny.
Oh, that's that guy from Airplane.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines. Well, you can't see now. Kane and his new wife just took off in a big hurry.
I'm going to do my best to try and take him seriously in this one.
I never saw him whip a horse that way.
Ben Miller is in town. He has two of the old bunch with him.
He's gonna stop.
Why are you stopping?
It's no good. I've got to go back, Amy.
They're making me run. I've never run from anybody before.
Then don't go back, Will.
I've got to. That's the whole thing.
So I was just thinking about then, about the skill of guiding a horse and cart. But I'm thinking maybe Gary Cooper, he might have grown up with that because this is like the 50s. So if you think about it, the turn of the century was 50 years prior. So he, as a boy, he probably had to learn how to do that stuff. Whereas now, if you're an actor, you would have to learn how to guide a horse and cart. Because it is him driving it, isn't it? It's not a stuntman.
They've got a new marshal.
Won't be here till tomorrow. Seems to me I've got to stay. Anyway, I'm the same man with or without this.
Well, that isn't so.
Good line there.
We'd be all alone on the prairie. This is my town. I've got friends here. I'll swear in a bunch of special deputies, and with a posse behind me, maybe there won't even be any trouble.
You know there'll be trouble.
Good stakes. Stakes are high.
You're asking me to wait an hour to find out if I'm going to be a wife or a widow. I won't do it. I mean it. If you won't go with me now, I'll be on that train when it leaves here.
I've got to stay.
I'm loving the pace and the setup here. Everything is very quick.
You shouldn't have come back, Will.
Stupid. I can deputize a posse. 10, 12 guns is all I need.
In the 5th century B.C., the citizens of Athens, having suffered grievously under a tyrant, managed to depose and banish him. However, when he returned some years later with an armed mercenary, those same citizens not only opened the gates for him, but stood by while he executed members of the legal government.
You're a judge.
Been a judge many times, many times. I hope to live to be a judge again. Don't you remember when he sat in that chair and said, "You'll never hang me, I'll come back. I'll kill you with a man, I swear it, I'll kill you."
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Thank you.
Why go to the station where they are?
Rather
It's an
wait
hour.
somewhere
Go
else.
and stay with
Like at the
someone.
hotel, maybe.
Exactly.
Hey, that wasn't here 5 years ago. So what? Nothing. Yet.
Oh, no.
Look, this is just a dirty little village in the middle of nowhere. Nothing that happens here is really important. Now get out.
There isn't time.
What a waste. Good luck.
Damn, he's gone, bro. He is out of there.
All you gotta do is tell the old boys when they come that I'm the new marshal.
Well, I can't do it.
The truth is you probably talked against me from the start. You've been sore about me and Helen Ramirez right along, ain't you?
What?
It so happens I didn't know, and it doesn't mean anything to me one way or the other. You ought to know that.
You can't stand anybody taking your place there, can you? Especially me.
Yeah, man, he's only got less than an hour now.
You want me to stick? You put the word in for me like I said.
It's got to be up to you.
This kind of feels like a Kurosawa. There's just moments, like at the very beginning with Lee Van Cleef, it felt a bit Kurosawa, but it makes sense because Kurosawa was inspired by American Westerns anyway.
Did you really think you could put that over on Kane?
Why not? He's just sore is all. Sore about you and me. Who did the walking out anyway? You or him?
Get out, Harvey.
I won't be back.
Good.
Wow, she just ditched him, man.
You're getting out?
Yes.
You want me to give Kane a hand?
No.
That's better. Don't be going around hanging out where thugs are.
May I wait in the lobby until noon?
You're Mrs. Kane, ain't you? You're leaving on the noon train? But your husband ain't?
No, why?
No reason, but it's mighty interesting.
Who is this creep? This guy's creepy, man.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Church. We're in church.
Glory, glory, hallelujah.
I just heard it. Hello, Herb. You can count on me. You know that, don't you? Well, you cleaned this town up. You made it fit for women and kids to live in.
I was hoping people would feel that way.
I like that detail of his sweaty armpits. That guy's a real one, man. Turned up and was like, yeah, I'll help you out. Oh, who's this? Is that the town drunk? You know, the town drunk, he just turns up to the marshal's office or the sheriff's office and they're like, yeah, go in the cell, cool down, sober up.
I'm leaving town. I want to sell the store. You want to buy me out? How much can you raise?
Oh, $1,000?
You can pay Sam the rest in 6 months, and he'll get it to me.
Mrs. Ramirez.
She's a missus.
You've been real decent to me right along. And I want you to know that I've been honest with you.
I know you have, Mr. Weaver. Goodbye.
Amy, you've changed your mind.
I thought you'd changed yours.
So this is something I knew about this film, about the time and how time raises the stakes. It's used to create tension, but also with her buying a ticket now that I just saw, that adds to the stakes as well. So it's a ticking clock, whereas there's going to be some kind of showdown, but it's also a ticking clock because he's got to do what he's got to do before she leaves.
You want me to help you? You want me to beg for you? I would not lift a finger for you.
I came to tell you he was coming. I should have figured you'd know about it.
So there's a history there.
I'm not afraid of him.
I know you're not, but you know how he is.
And so this is another thing that we haven't even met this guy yet, and we know he's the big bad. He's a very dangerous guy, just by the way people are responding to him. Wow, she's really pretty, man.
Who is Miss Ramirez?
Mrs. Ramirez? She used to be a friend of your husband's a while back. Before that, she was a friend of Frank Miller's.
Thank you. You don't like my husband, do you?
No. One thing, this place was always busy when Frank Miller was around. There's plenty of people around here think he's got a comeuppance coming.
Okay, so that goes back to the story that the judge told, how the people of that ancient city let the tyrant back into town and let him do whatever he wanted.
You know, I think I'll go with some liquor. You have to have it? If you're going after that
I
woman,
said I was going for liquor.
You keep away from Kane.
Sure, I can wait.
Okay, so I'm hearing that on the instrument, that's the same song that was in It's a Wonderful Life. I didn't know that song was so well known. It was so common. So it's even a reference to the days of the cowboy. So that goes way back. Wow, he's greeted with like enthusiasm.
Well, there'll be a hot time in the old town tonight, eh, Ben?
I wouldn't be surprised.
And I liked how that stringed instrument was the same tempo as the pendulum in the clock. Okay, here we go. Encounter.
I'll give you odds. Kane's dead 5 minutes after Frank gets off the train. That's all Frank will need because I...
Oh, there you go. Keep talking, bro. There you go. Yep, nice.
You carry a badge and a gun, Marshal. You had no call to do that.
You're right. I need deputies. I'll take all I can get.
You must be crazy coming in here to raise a posse. Frank's got friends in this room. You ought to know that.
Some of you were special deputies when we broke this bunch. I need you again. Now.
You can hear the ticking clock in the background. Very faintly, you can hear the clock ticking.
You're asking an awful lot, Kane, considering the kind of man Frank Miller is.
We all know what Miller's like. That's why I'm here. How about it?
Wow. And you know what the guy was saying before, that he cleaned up the town and made it a place where women and children can live. But see, they no loyalty. He's got an idea, or he knows somebody.
Now you do like I told you. I'm not home. Don't let him in. No matter what he says, I'm not home.
He won't believe me and know I'm lying.
You do like I tell you.
Okay, so this guy's no help. So far, only one guy's willing to stand with him.
You're leaving town. You're cutting out with Kane.
Oh, Harvey.
It's Kane. I know it's Kane.
It isn't Kane. You're a good-looking boy. You have big, broad shoulders. But he is a man.
She said he's a man.
Kane will be a dead man in half an hour. And when he dies, this town dies too. I don't like anybody to put his hands on me unless I want him to. And I don't like you too. anymore.
Yeah, he's starving, man. He can't let her go.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
It's true, I haven't been a church-going man, and maybe that's a bad thing. And I didn't get married here today because my wife's a Quaker.
What's a Quaker? I'm gonna have to look that up. Because he mentioned her religion before. And this town is actually quite populated.
And I need all the special deputies I can get.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go.
Hold it a minute. Hold it. Ain't it true that Kane ain't no longer marshal? And ain't it true there's personal trouble between him and Miller? Why should you? If there's a difference of opinion, let everybody have a say. But let's do it like grown-up people. And let's get all the kids out of the building.
They've been waiting for that.
Here's those three killers walking the streets bold as brass. Why didn't you arrest them, Marshal?
Why does this guy look familiar?
Don't you remember when a decent woman couldn't walk down the street in broad daylight? Don't you remember when this wasn't a fit place to bring up a child? How can you sit here and talk and talk and talk like this?
The commandments say, thou shalt not kill, but we hire men to go out and do it for us. But if you're asking me to tell my people to go out and kill, and maybe get themselves killed, I don't know what to say.
Thou shalt not kill is thou shalt not murder. Anyway, we won't get into that.
It's our problem because this is our town. We made it with our own hands, out of nothing. You all know how I feel about this man. He's a mighty brave man, a good man. He didn't have to come back here today. And for his sake and the sake of this town, I wish he hadn't. Because if he's not here when Miller comes, my hunch is there won't be any trouble. Not one bit. Will, I think you better go while there's still time.
Wow, wow. That was a turn of events.
Thanks.
Dang. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. But the thing is, if he's not there, then these guys will come in and start a ruckus.
You're dead, Kane.
Run along, little man. That scene in the church completely threw me off. I thought he was going to be on his side because he respects him. So even when you have people's respect, sometimes that's not enough.
They sent a kid to find you, didn't he come?
He was here.
Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be like you, Mark. You've been a lawman all your life.
You risk your skin catching killers, and the juries turn them loose so they can come back and shoot at you again. And in the end, you wind up dying all alone on some dirty street.
Wow.
The judges left town, Harvey's quit, and I'm having trouble getting deputies.
People gotta talk themselves into law and order before they do anything about it. Maybe because down deep they don't care.
Wow. Man, that was a good speech.
I was hoping you wouldn't come back. This is all planned. That's why they're all here. Get out, Will. Get out.
So, man, even his longtime friend and mentor is telling him.
Will you come down to that depot with me?
No. You'd be worried about me. You'd get yourself killed worrying about me.
This scene reminds me of No Country for Old Men, when Tommy Lee Jones goes to see that old-timer.
It's all for nothing.
And the old-timer tells him, and he says to him, like, you know, there's nothing new. It just reminded me of that scene.
What you got ain't nothing new. It ain't all waiting on you. That's vanity.
Excuse me. What is Mrs. Ramirez's room number?
3.
Thank you.
Wow, man, things are not looking good.
May I come in?
If you like.
Well, that man downstairs, the clerk, he said things about you and Will. I've been trying to understand why he wouldn't go with me, and now all I can think of is that it's got to be because of you.
He isn't staying for me.
Then what is it? Why is he staying?
If you don't know, I cannot explain it to you.
So it's like...
How can you leave him like this? Does the sound of guns frighten you that much?
My father and my brother were killed by guns. They were on the right side, but that didn't help them any when the shooting started. My brother was 19. I watched him die. Will knows how I feel about it.
Why don't you wait here?
Okay, so I understand. She's right too, you know. Just because you're on the side of justice or you're on the side of right, just because you're on the side of truth, doesn't mean that the outcome is going to be favorable for you. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So I understand her perspective. Like, why would she want to see her husband die, to become a witch? Why would she want to become a widow, you know, on the day of her wedding? What's about to happen? Is he going to try and fight him? Is he going to try and prove himself by standing with him? And I have to say, I like the theme song. It's very catchy. You remember it.
Come on. Let me help you.
Seems like all everybody and his brother wants is to get me out of town.
Nobody wants to see you get killed.
Wow, he saddled that horse in frame. No cutaway.
Get on that horse, Will.
Why is it so important to you? You don't care if I live or die.
Come on.
Don't shove me, Harv. I'm tired of being shoved.
Ooh. Ooh. He's younger. Youth is on his side. Oh no, they better be careful with these horses. Kane has more experience. So he had the youth, but Kane is more experienced.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
No matter what you say. If King was my man, I never leave him like this. I'd get a gun. I'd fight.
Why don't you?
He is not my man.
Yeah, he's not anymore, is he?
You got some clean water I can use?
Well, sure, Marshal. Sure, sit down.
And I'm liking the geography. You're just moving around the town from place to place. Just one sitting.
Well, one of the other boys gonna get here. We gotta make plans.
There aren't any other boys, Herb. It's just you and me.
I don't believe it. This town ain't that low. You and me against Miller and all the rest of them.
Yeah, he can't do it. He can't do it.
I volunteered. You know I did. You didn't have to come to me. I was ready. Sure, I'm ready now.
I understand. I understand.
I got a wife and kids. What about my kids?
Go on home to your kids, Herb.
You get some of the other fellows, Will, and I'll still go through with it.
Go on home, Herb.
I understand his position.
Marshal, listen, let me fight with you. I ain't afraid.
You're a kid. You're a baby.
I'm 16, and I can handle a gun, too. You ought to see me.
You're 14, and what do you want in life?
Well, I'm big for my age.
Well, you're big for your age, all right, but no, go on. Get out of here. Go on.
Lots of young men did that to fight in World War I. They lied about their age. The thing is, it's not as if he wasn't there that they wouldn't do anything. These guys had every intention of wreaking havoc. Like you saw the one when he rode up first. He went outside the marshal's office and he got the horse to rear. So they had every intention of causing problems. Yeah, so that's the geography, you know, the church, the marshal's office, the bar, the hotel, the train station. That's a cool frame. Here it comes. So now I'm feeling the tension. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I can take a guess that because of the time period, it's going to have a positive outcome. But if it doesn't, that'll be very interesting. Wow, so Ramirez is looking back at him, but his new bride isn't.
Hello, Frank.
How are you, Frank?
Let's get started then.
Wow, he's quite clean. I was expecting him to be raggedy and dirty and... Ah, that guy was in White Heat. Yeah, he was in White Heat. He played that criminal who identified the undercover cop. I think that's him. Straight away, just got off the train. We've got your gun. Let's go cause some havoc. That's the classic shot of all the gunfighters walking down the street. What was that? Is that a water bottle? What was that? It's a good thing that guy did that, because he was gonna bump into them.
Miller!
One down. One down. Oh, what is she doing? Get off the street. Okay, I'm liking this. It's kind of cat and mouse. I didn't know how it was going to play out. I imagined a gunfight in the middle of the street, but it's a bit of cat and mouse, which makes sense. He's got to pick them off one by one. Whoa. Yeah, get to high ground.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
Two down. I knew it. Gonna try and burn him out. Smoke him out. Oh no. He's gonna let the horses loose. Oh. Was he hit? I'm actually really worried about her. What is she doing? I hope this is just a perspective thing and that she doesn't die. They've got him flanked. Is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? The Ramirez said to her she would stand and pick up a gun and stand by him. Oh, she does. Nice, nice. Oh no. Oh no, he has her.
All right, Kane, come on out. Come out of your friend here and get it the way Pierce did.
If he's as bad as you say, he'll shoot her, then him. Okay, good, good. He did it. Now everyone comes out. Now you all come out. If that was me, I'd be like,
coward.
Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Throw it on the ground. Despicable. Absolutely terrible.
You disgust me.
Gotcha. Well, Walters, looks like we've got our saboteur.
That's your wife, sir.
Huh? Yeah, so it is. I know what she knows.
Okay, people, and that was High Noon. I had fun with this one. You just can't beat a good old Western. It was so crazy to see such a young Lee Van Bad Boy Cleef. From the very first frame, you could see that he had the charisma and the swagger to be what he finally became. I did appreciate the sense of urgency that the film evoked by using the ticking clock, which definitely heightened the tension. I also like the fact that it was more drama orientated as opposed to action. Now don't get me wrong, I want to see gunfights and horse chases in a western just like The Next Man. But I just think that every now and again, it's good to mix things up. Now Gary Cooper was the tall, humble, honorable everyman, but he was also a lawman who was unwavering in his duties. Now I learned after the fact that there are some political themes present, which I have my own views on, and that John Wayne hated the film. He specifically hated the fact that Gary Cooper's character, Will Kane, went around town trying to raise a posse to take on the bad guys. I disagree. I'm pretty sure that's what people did back then. They banded together to defend what was theirs. The bottom line is, Kane stood alone against the bandits in the end. I also like the fact that his new bride, Amy, stood by him in the most extreme of circumstances. She ended up shooting one of the outlaws in the back. Now I was expecting a classic quick draw gunfight at the end. Instead we got a cat and mouse battle of wits, which made perfect sense. I also found it interesting to see how the historical story about the tyrant told by the judge ended up playing itself out against Kane. Now for me, the church scene was most surprising. Even though Kane had earned the respect of Mayor Jonas, the respect that Jonas had for Kane wasn't enough. As far as Jonas was concerned, as long as Kane was out of sight and out of mind, the town wouldn't have to face the wrath of the outlaws. I think that was total BS. Those outlaws would have wreaked havoc on the town. It was also fun to see Lloyd Bridges from Airplane and Hot Shots in a more serious role. I was expecting him to set aside his differences with Kane and stand with him against the outlaws in the end. But they gave us a twist. He ended up face down in the muck in a barn after Kane knocked him out cold. I also like the character of Ramirez, played by Katie Jurado. She was a good counterbalance of feminine energy. She was hardened and ruthless because of her tough experiences in life, the opposite of Grace Kelly's softer, more naive demeanor, or mousy, to quote Alfred Hitchcock. I also found it interesting that Ramirez wore black and Amy wore white, while Kane wore both black and white. If you really want to get deep into the interpretation of this, then you could look at it from the occult or mystical standpoint. Yep, Hollywood is into that. In the tradition of the Western, the good guys wore white and the bad guys wore black. That would either be the clothes that they were wearing or their hats. So if Kane is wearing both black and white, that would represent the concept of the duality of man, the yin and the yang, the good and the bad, which would make Kane an anti-hero type. But I'm going to look at it from the angle of Kane being the embodiment of what both women desire, and that each woman is a reflection of the main facets of his character for this story. Ramirez represents when he was in the thick of things. The violence, the brutality, the death, all the things that hardens the lawman. The harsh encounters that builds his experience and character. And Amy represents his new life. His desire to set aside his gun and badge with honor and move on to greener pastures. There was a moment that I really liked that was a subversion of Hollywood filmmaking. It was when both women were leaving town on the wagon. Ramirez was looking back at Kane, while Amy looked straight ahead. But in the end, it was Amy who got off the train and stood with Kane, while Ramirez left town without a second glance. This is interesting because it was Ramirez who said that,
"If Kane was my man, I never leave him like this. I'd get a gun. I'd fight."
I just thought that was a nice twist to the story. Usually, the woman who's looking back is the one who ended up with the hero. Or if someone made a proclamation like that, they would follow through with it. Instead, there was a switch. I was completely on Kane's side by the end when he threw his tin star down on the ground and rode out of town on the wagon with his new bride. The townsfolk came out from hiding when all the fighting was over. And judging from their body language, only the kid and a few others showed any kind of gratitude. It was absolutely despicable.
You disgust me.
I also like the theme song. Once you hear it, you won't forget it, and you'll always know which film you heard it from. So, just a quick reminder that if you like westerns, I've written a western. That's right, people, I write movies. And this is a western with a zombie twist. You can read a free sample of my published screenplay, Ghost Town, right now. All you have to do is click the link in the description and press download. After you've pressed download, just check your downloads folder to confirm that the file transfer was successful. And you should be able to start reading immediately. It's one of my author's picks to introduce readers to my stories. It also did quite well in a few screenplay competitions. And it got a favourable review from the BBC Writers' Room, which doesn't happen very often. It's a fun read and it's another way for us to exchange even more value. FYI, the next reaction coming up will be The Third Man. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And you can start looking out for updates and polls on the YouTube community tab. It won't be every day, but there will be more happening over there going forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
You're a good-looking boy. You have big, broad shoulders, but he is a man. It takes more than big broad shoulders to make a man, Harvey. And you have a long way to go.